Friday Sermon, 31st January 2025. His Holiness, may Allah be His helper, addresses the incident of Hazrat Abu Qatada radiallahu anhu during the expedition of Dhi Qarad. In the previous sermon, the expedition of Dhi Qarad was mentioned. The Holy Prophet ﷺ, before departing for this expedition, sent a few companions towards the army and then followed. It is narrated that when they arrived, the enemy army ran away upon seeing them. When the Muslims reached the enemy encampment, the Muslims witnessed that the horse of Abu Qatada was hamstrung. The Holy Prophet ﷺ stood by it and said, "May you be well, you have many enemies in war." This gave the impression that Abu Qatada radiallahu anhu had been martyred. However, this was not the case. A short while later, Abu Qatada radiallahu anhu once again joined the Muslims whilst leading his camels. Upon returning, the Holy Prophet ﷺ offered many a prayer for him. Abu Qatada radiallahu anhu mentioned that he was struck with an arrow and thought he had removed it. The Holy Prophet ﷺ called him over, tenderly removed the arrow, and put his blessed saliva on the wound. As a result, Abu Qatada radiallahu anhu said that it was as though I had not been wounded at all. Incidents of Hazrat Salamah radiallahu anhu during this expedition. Hazrat Salamah radiallahu anhu fought the enemies at Dhi Qarad. He was pursuing the enemy and could not see any of his companions. The enemy spotted him trying to drink water, so he retreated. He fired arrows and hit a person whom he had fired at earlier. He also apprehended two individuals and brought them to the Holy Prophet ﷺ. Hazrat Salamah radiallahu anhu proposed to be sent with 100 men to pursue the enemy. The Holy Prophet ﷺ replied, "If you have managed to secure them, show them mercy and tenderness. In other words, if they have run away, then leave them be. There is no need to show harshness any further." The wife of Hazrat Abu Dhar Ghafari radiallahu anhu, His Holiness, may Allah be His helper, had also previously mentioned that Hazrat Abu Dhar Ghafari's radiallahu anhu's wife had been captured. It is mentioned that she was tied up and managed to escape on her own. She mounted Asbad, the camel of the Holy Prophet ﷺ, that had also fled from the enemy encampment. The enemies tried to pursue her but could not catch her. She had vowed to God that if the camel became a means to save her, she would slaughter it for his sake. However, when she reached Medina, the Holy Prophet ﷺ advised that such a vow did not grant the camel an appropriate reward for saving her. Furthermore, the camel did not belong to her. Thus, he asked her to return to her home without worrying about fulfilling the vow. The expedition of Hazrat Aban bin Sayyid radiallahu anhu. This expedition deems to have taken place in Muharram 7th year after Hijrah, as it aligns with other historical events. Hazrat Aban's radiallahu anhu's father was amongst the prominent people of the Quraysh. His brothers had accepted Islam before him and also migrated to Abyssinia. Hazrat Aban radiallahu anhu was amongst the enemies during the Battle of Badr. Hazrat Aban radiallahu anhu accepted Islam sometime between the Treaty of Hudaybiyah and the Battle of Khaibar. Before heading towards Khaibar, the Holy Prophet ﷺ sent troops with Hazrat Aban radiallahu anhu towards Najd. These troops under Hazrat Aban radiallahu anhu were tasked with keeping Medina safe while the Holy Prophet ﷺ was not present. Hazrat Aban radiallahu anhu joined the Holy Prophet ﷺ in Khaibar after the Muslims had already attained victory. The Battle of Khaibar. The Battle of Khaibar is a significant event in Islamic history. Many Jews had lived there for a long time. Some say they lived there since the time of Prophet Moses ﷺ, and this region held great importance for the Jewish people. The Holy Prophet ﷺ was aware of the conspiracies many of the Jews in Khaibar were brewing against Islam. The Holy Prophet ﷺ showed immense kindness and tenderness towards the Jews in Medina. However, they would break their covenants over and over. After many of the Jews had been exiled from Medina for their treason and attempts to kill the Holy Prophet ﷺ, they settled in Khaibar. There, they incited others against Islam and launched an attack on Medina alongside the polytheist known as the Battle of the Ditch. Hazrat Muslim Maud anhu states that just 5 months after the Holy Prophet ﷺ returned from Hudaybiyah, he decided that the Jews who conspire and incite others against Islam should be expelled from Khaibar. Thus he marched towards Khaibar with 1,600 companions. There are some discrepancies regarding the date of the battle. Some say few days after Hudaybiyah in the month of Muharram, others say 5 months. Allah knows best. Fundamentally, the Treaty of Hudaybiyah was a grand victory mentioned in the Holy Quran in the following words: "Verily, we have granted thee a clear victory." Chapter 48, verse 2. It was this grand victory that opened the doors to even greater victories, such as that of Khaibar and the conquest of Mecca. In the same chapter of the Holy Quran, Allah the Almighty mentions the victory of Khaibar in the following words: "Surely Allah was well pleased with the believers when they were swearing allegiance to thee under the tree, and he knew what was in their hearts, and he sent down tranquility on them, and he rewarded them with a victory near at hand, and great spoils that will take, and Allah is mighty wise. Allah has promised you great spoils that you will take, and he has given you this in advance." The Holy Quran, chapter 48, verse 19 to 21. Preparing for Khaibar. It is stated that it was during Khaibar that a large banner or flag was prepared for the Muslim army. Previously they used smaller flags. Female companions participated in this battle, and they very bravely came forward and offered their service. There were some Muslims who owed Jews in Medina some money. The Holy Prophet ﷺ very justly instructed the Muslims to give the Jews their rights despite Battle of Khaibar. The Jews from Medina and Khaibar plotted against the destruction of Muslims. However, the leader of Khaibar, Kinana bin Abi Haqiq, was doubtful that the Muslims would come to Khaibar. In fact, he said that Muhammad ﷺ would not dare to come to Khaibar. Nonetheless, a convoy was sent to nearby tribes to seek assistance in Khaibar. Some tribes refused, while others sent armies to aid Khaibar. His Holiness, may Allah be his helper, said that he would continue to mention these accounts in the future.